They say you never truly know what you're capable of until the world decides to take everything from you. One moment there's silence. The distant hum of the city. The soft glow of a dying afternoon filtering through dusty blinds. The next, just a scream. A single guttural sound that tears through the air, followed by the sickening thud of a body hitting concrete. You blink, and the world is a kaleidoscope of shattered glass and choked fear. The air fills with the metallic tang of gunpowder, sharp and acrid, burning your nostrils. It wasn't a warning. It wasn't a threat. It was an execution. A brutal, surgical removal of someone who mattered, right in front of your eyes. The last image seared into my retina. A final, desperate grasp. A silent plea that died on lips already turning blue. My breath caught, a jagged shard in my throat. My hands, sticky with something warm and sickening, trembled uncontrollably, not from cold, but from a tremor that vibrated deep in my bones. The monster in front of me, faceless beneath a tactical hood, didn't even glance my way as they finished their grotesque ballet. They just vanished, leaving a void where life once pulsed, and a chilling echo of their footsteps fading into the urban cacophony. This wasn't a movie. This wasn't a nightmare I could wake from. This was real. The kind of real that changes you, twists you, carves a permanent scar into your soul. The kind of real that forces a choice. Crumble into dust, or rise from the ashes with a fire in your gut you never knew existed. They took him. They took everything. And in that same breath, they forged something new within me. Something dangerous. And now the hunt begins. Now they will learn what it means to be hunted. The apartment air hung heavy, thick with the dust of forgotten dreams and the acrid tang of despair. Elijah, a man carved by unseen burdens, meticulously worked on the antique chronometer, its brass casing dulled by time, a silent witness to a life lived on autopilot. Then a flicker, a hum. An ethereal blue-green light bloomed from its core, not just illuminating the room, but slicing through the apathy that had long choked his spirit. Complex, indecipherable data streams cascaded onto his walls, fleeting images hinting at a past subtly, impossibly, altered. It was a glitch in the matrix of his own existence. The anomaly lasted only seconds before the world shattered. A silent thud, a whisper of forced entry, and black-clad figures, arbiters from a world he didn't know existed, breached his sanctuary with cold, terrifying precision. They moved like shadows given form, their intent clear, their presence an immediate, terrifying threat. Adrenaline, a forgotten friend, surged through Elijah's veins, raw and electric. Clutching the now glowing chronometer like a fragile lifeline, he burst onto the rain-slicked rooftops, the city a dizzying expanse below. Behind him, the arbiters moved with an inhuman grace, their black silhouettes cutting through the neon-laced night. Grapple hooks hissed, lines whipping skyward, pulling them up sheer walls with impossible speed. Every leap, every scramble over jagged skylights, was a desperate gamble against the abyss. He could feel their cold, silent pursuit closing in, a predator's relentless patience. A chasm opened before him, a terrifying leap between buildings, the wind tearing at his clothes. Fear screamed, but a deeper, primal will to survive propelled him forward, launching him into the void, the glowing device a beacon against the encroaching darkness. Tucked away in the grime and shadows of a forgotten alley, the city's ceaseless drone became a muffled hum against the frantic beat of Elijah's heart. He stared at the chronometer, its blue-green light now pulsing with increased intensity. The data projections, no longer abstract, now flashed fragmented images of his own life. A lost love, a failed career, a crucial decision. But something was wrong. Faces shifted, outcomes warped, subtle, impossible alterations that twisted his memories into a grotesque parody of what he remembered. He heard them then, faint, like static electricity in his skull, telepathic whispers, fragments of an unknown language, or perhaps an ancient code. They spoke of threads, of patterns, of destinies woven and unwoven. A cold, mechanical hum that suggested a cosmic puppeteer was at play, pulling the strings of his existence. Jay's apartment was less a home, more a fortress of digital chaos. Monitors flickered with incomprehensible code, wires snaked like digital vines, and the air hummed with the frantic energy of 1,000 blinking lights. Elijah stumbled in, gasping out a fragmented tale of silent assassins and glowing devices. Jay, a brilliant but reclusive tech savant and a veteran of countless online conspiracy theories, initially met his story with a dismissive wave and a cynical smirk, diagnosing a severe case of stress-induced psychosis. His world was pixels and paranoia, not actual breaches. Then, Elijah unwrapped his hand, revealing the chronometer. Its otherworldly glow cut through the monitor light, pulsing with an undeniable, impossible energy. Jay's smirk vanished, replaced by a gaze of rapt, almost reverent, fascination. This wasn't a breakdown. This was something entirely new. Jay, a man whose life revolved around deciphering the universe's hidden signals, was utterly captivated. The chronometer, once connected to his sprawling network, sang with a frequency unlike anything he'd ever encountered. His fingers danced across keyboards, monitors churning lines of alien script, as he dove deeper into its encrypted depths. Layers peeled back, revealing not just data, but history. He uncovered the Chronos Registry, an ancient, global organization operating in the deepest shadows, manipulating human timelines. They weren't just observing. They were adjusting, monitoring countless life threads, for reasons unknown, weaving destinies with cold, precise hands. The sheer scale was mind-boggling, a secret symphony of control playing out across humanity, every random event a carefully placed note in their grand composition. The true nature of their world, and Elijah's life, began to unfurl. The screens shifted, focusing now on Elijah's own existence. His life thread, laid bare like a schematic diagram. It was a horrifying tapestry of what-ifs and might-have-beens. Key moments, turning points he remembered as pivotal choices, now glowed with a faint, almost imperceptible shimmer, revealing the subtle interventions. That job interview he inexplicably failed, the chance encounter that led to a painful breakup, the bad luck that always steered him away from success or genuine happiness. They weren't his failures. They were manufactured detours, carefully orchestrated diversions. His entire adult life, a canvas for an unseen artist. The dawning realization ignited a cold fury in his gut, a blaze that quickly consumed the last embers of his despair. His pain, his grief, his regret, all of it, a lie, a carefully constructed illusion orchestrated by these cosmic puppeteers. His life wasn't lived. It was managed. The rage was a firestorm, consuming Elijah's despair and forging it into an unbreakable resolve. He slammed his hand onto Jay's desk, the chronometer rattling with the impact. "I want a refund," he declared, his voice a low, furious growl that vibrated with newfound conviction. "Every failure, every heartbreak, every manipulated moment. I want it gone. I want an irreversible deletion of my thread from their registry." Jay recoiled, his face a mask of horror. "Elijah, you don't understand. Deleting your thread, it's not just your past. It's everything. It could unravel a cascade, a catastrophic ripple across the entire timeline." But Elijah was deaf to reason, blinded by the incandescent injustice of it all. "Then let it unravel," he snarled, his eyes burning with a dangerous light. "Because my life, as they designed it, isn't worth living." With a grim determination, Jay began the impossible. He connected the chronometer directly, using its unique signature as a digital battering ram against the impenetrable walls of the Chronos Registry. He typed furiously, his intent clear. A direct ping, a demand for contact, a challenge hurled into the digital abyss. The system groaned, processing power maxed out, screens flashing with alarming speed. Then the registry retaliated, not with a message, but with a powerful, invisible countersurge. Jay cried out, thrown back from his console as sparks erupted from the main server. Monitors exploded, spitting glass and smoke. A piercing, high-frequency pulse, barely audible yet physically jarring, emanated from the chronometer and the failing systems, vibrating through the very air, rattling bones and teeth. The room plunged into chaos, a violent echo of their defiant act, and the true power of their adversary became horrifyingly clear. The high-frequency pulse from the chronometer became a siren call, not for salvation, but for judgment. Distant wails grew into a cacophony, a digital choir of doom as the Chronos Registry's enforcers, the arbiters, swarmed the building. Jay, a blur of panicked efficiency, hammered at his keyboard, initiating a full system wipe, his face illuminated by the flickering data stream as the apartment's defenses crumbled. Elijah stood frozen, the glowing device heavy in his hand, the reality of his violation crashing down on him. A heavy thud, then another, vibrated through the floorboards. The air itself crackled with anticipation, the metallic scent of ozone and the acrid tang of fear filling his lungs. They were cornered, trapped in the very sanctuary Elijah had once called home, now a cage, waiting to be breached. Every second felt like an eternity, ticking down to an inevitable, violent confrontation. The world shrank to a claustrophobic tunnel of cold metal and echoing whispers. Jay, surprisingly agile, led the way through the narrow air ducts, the chronometer's faint glow their only guide through the suffocating darkness. Every rasp of their clothing, every strained breath, seemed amplified, a beacon to the relentless hunters. Below and behind, metallic scrapes and heavy thuds resonated through the vents. The arbiters were inside, their advanced thermal scanners painting ghostly outlines of Elijah and Jay on their HUDs, turning them into prey in a digital hunt. The chilling realization struck Elijah. This wasn't just an escape. It was a desperate crawl for survival through the very veins of the city, a relentless pursuit where every turn held the promise of capture or collapse. The air thinned, heavy with dust and the metallic scent of impending doom, tightening around his throat with each labored breath. They burst from the grimy ventilation shaft into the damp, neon-streaked oblivion of a back alley, only to be met not by the registry's hunters, but by a sudden, brutal ambush of a different kind. A shadowy figure moved with preternatural speed, a whirl of dark fabric and lethal precision. Before Elijah could even register the threat, she disarmed an arbiter with a fluid, almost balletic motion, the weapon clattering uselessly against the rain-slicked concrete. This was Anna, a ghost from Kronos' past, a rogue operative with a vendetta simmering beneath her controlled exterior. Her eyes, sharp as obsidian shards, fixed on Elijah, not with recognition, but with a chilling distrust that cut deeper than any blade. He was a variable she hadn't accounted for, a wrench thrown into her own clandestine operations. Yet the glowing chronometer in his hand was undeniably significant. Anna's gaze, initially hostile, softened subtly as she glimpsed the chronometer's defiant glow and heard the distant, echoing shouts of closing arbiters. The shared threat forged an uneasy truce. Her voice, low and urgent, peeled back layers of the world Elijah thought he knew, revealing the registry's true, insidious nature. They weren't just record keepers. They were architects of fate, manipulating life threads for their own inscrutable designs. The gravest danger, she explained, was life thread deletion, an erasure so profound. It would not only end their existence but retroactively nullify their very being, their memories, their impact on the fabric of time. Anna wasn't seeking to destroy her own thread, but to expose the registry, to shatter their silent dominion. For now, their paths converged, bound by a common enemy and a shared, desperate need for survival. Anna led them deeper into the city's underbelly, a labyrinth of shadows and forbidden commerce known only as the ghost market. It was a sensory overload, a swirling kaleidoscope of flickering neon holograms, the sizzle of illicit street food, and the hushed murmurs of countless desperate transactions. Suppressed technology, stolen data, and secrets too dangerous for the official channels traded hands under the cover of perpetual twilight. To access the registry's deeper layers, to even begin to protect themselves from its omnipotent countermeasures, Anna needed a temporal harmonizer, a device of exquisite complexity and perilous rarity. This wasn't just a shopping trip. It was a plunge into a digital purgatory, a place where information was currency and betrayal lurked behind every veiled stall. Elijah felt the weight of the chronometer, a target in this dangerous wonderland. They found a shifty dealer tucked away in a shadowed alcove, surrounded by an array of repurposed tech. The temporal harmonizer, intricate and humming with suppressed energy, sat between them on a grimy countertop. Negotiations were tense, punctuated by the dealer's suspicious glances and Anna's unwavering resolve. Just as the exchange was about to be finalized, a guttural voice from the shadows cut through the market din. An arbiter, disguised as a civilian contact, had recognized Elijah, or more precisely, the faint, residual energy signature emanating from the chronometer. The air immediately thickened, charged with unspoken threats. The dealer's eyes widened in alarm, a silent testament to the registry's pervasive reach. A tense standoff bloomed in the crowded alley, every eye now drawn to their small, suddenly isolated tableau. Exposure was imminent, and with it, certain doom. The standoff exploded, shattering the fragile peace of the market. A laser blast ripped through the air, narrowly missing Elijah's head, and chaos erupted. Vendor stalls overturned, scattering exotic wares, as panic rippled through the crowd. Anna moved like a dervish, her every action precise and brutal, carving a path through the stampeding bodies and engaging the arbiters who materialized from every shadow. Elijah, fueled by sheer adrenaline, dodged screaming civilians and stray fire, the chronometer's glow a beacon and a curse. Jay, surprisingly, used his tech skills to disrupt laser grids, opening fleeting escape routes. They fought, ran, and tumbled through the pandemonium, securing the harmonizer in a desperate scramble. The market, once a haven of secrets, became a battleground of flashing energy weapons and frantic screams, their desperate flight painted in vibrant, violent strokes. Gasping for breath, they stumbled into the desolate silence of an abandoned subway station. The raw concrete and rusted tracks, a stark contrast to the market's chaos. With swift, practiced movements, Anna activated the temporal harmonizer. Its soft hum grew into a resonant thrum, and before their eyes, reality shimmered. In the center of the derelict tracks, a portal materialized, a swirling vortex of iridescent light, a gateway to the Chronos Registry's central servers, existing within a temporal nexus beyond their understanding. A moment of awe quickly shattered. From the shadowy end of the tunnel, a formidable figure emerged, his silhouette imposing and relentless. Commander Valerius, the arbiter leader, his presence radiating an unyielding authority, stood blocking their path. The gateway beckoned, but their ultimate hunter had found them, sealing their escape. Valerius's voice, calm as a glacier, cut through the buzzing tension, each word a chisel against Elijah's fragile hope. He spoke of the registry's grand design, not as oppressors, but as cosmic custodians, making minor adjustments to prevent universal entropy. Deleting his life thread, Valerius explained with chilling detachment, wasn't just an act of personal erasure. It was a ripple, a catastrophic cascade that would unspool entire destinies, countless lives collapsing into the void. The chronometer in Elijah's hand pulsed, a defiant heartbeat against the weight of this impossible choice. He was not just fighting for his own existence, but suddenly, unknowingly, for a million others whose threads were inexplicably interwoven with his own. The choice was a torment, a burning fire in his gut: succumb to a manipulated life, or become a cosmic murderer. The quiet hum of the Chronos gateway behind them seemed to mock his agonizing decision, a shimmering portal to either oblivion or a new, terrifying war. Ignoring Valerius's chilling prophecy, a desperate defiance flared in Elijah's eyes. "No refunds," he muttered, gripping the chronometer as Anna and Jay surged forward, plunging through the shimmering Chronos gateway. The world immediately erupted into a maelstrom of light and sound. Time itself seemed to tear apart around them, a disorienting kaleidoscope of collapsing timelines and warped realities. Their bodies felt stretched, pulled thin across an invisible anvil, barely contained by the harmonizer's fragile, vibrating field. Faces contorted in a silent scream, the air thick with the metallic tang of temporal displacement. Fragments of impossible futures and forgotten pasts flashed past, a scream from a life unlived, a whisper from a love never found. It was a terrifying freefall through the universe's discarded moments, a journey into the heart of everything and nothing, leaving their familiar world irrevocably behind. They arrived with a sickening lurch, the maelstrom replaced by an ethereal silence. Before them stretched the Chronos Library, a monument to human existence. Vast beyond comprehension, it was a cavernous chamber where countless life threads glowed, shimmering like an intricate cosmic tapestry. Each thread pulsed with the muted light of a lived destiny, a meticulously recorded story. The sheer scale was overwhelming, a silent testament to the registry's omnipresent reach. Spectral arbiters patrolled the winding walkways, their black forms gliding without sound, ever vigilant. They were the silent librarians of fate, guarding the narratives of billions. Elijah felt a profound, chilling insignificance, a single, flickering flame amidst a galaxy of souls, all curated and controlled. The air hummed with the dormant energy of countless lives, a chilling archive of what was and what could have been, watched over by silent, unblinking eyes. Jay, ever the pragmatist, wasted no time. His fingers flew across the holographic interface that materialized from his wrist-mounted tech, tapping into the library's vast network. Lines of code cascaded across the ethereal displays, translating cosmic data into actionable intelligence. His brow furrowed in intense concentration, a silent battle waged against an ancient, digital fortress. Then a breakthrough. A central nexus, glowing brighter than all others, appeared on his virtual map, the Master Chronos node. It was the heart of the registry, the very point where all life threads converged, where destinies could be woven, unraveled, or utterly deleted. But its location flashed red, encased deep within the registry's most secure sector, a heavily guarded fortress protected by layers of temporal wards and an untold number of arbiters. Their objective was clear, but the path to it was a gauntlet through the very core of fate. Their pursuit of the master node transformed into a tense, silent hunt through the registry's labyrinthine corridors. Anna, drawing on forgotten memories of her past within the organization, led the way, her movements fluid and cautious. Each turn, each shadowed alcove, held the potential for discovery. But the arbiters were not merely guards. They were extensions of the registry's will, equipped with advanced sensory tech that pierced through temporal shrouds and digital cloaking. A faint, almost imperceptible hum filled the air, the distant thrum of their detection grids. Every shadow felt alive, every silence stretched taut with the threat of interception. Elijah's heart hammered against his ribs, a drumbeat of paranoia. They were ghosts in a machine, trying to outwit the very architects of time, knowing that one wrong step meant utter, definitive eradication. The air grew colder, heavier with each passing corridor, each unseen scanner sweep. As they navigated the archives, a strange phenomenon occurred. Passing certain dormant life threads, Elijah's chronometer reactivated, not to map the present, but to project impossible echoes of his past. Shimmering holograms materialized from the device, revealing alternate versions of himself. A successful architect admiring his magnum opus, a celebrated musician basking in applause, a man deeply in love, laughing with a woman whose face was agonizingly familiar. These weren't just fleeting images. They were brief, visceral glimpses of the vibrant, fulfilling life that had been systematically stripped away from him. The joy, the triumphs, the connections, all stolen, all manipulated. A profound ache twisted in his gut, a mix of heartbreak and righteous fury. He saw what the registry had taken, not just his past, but his potential, the rich tapestry of what he could have been. The theft was not just personal. It was existential, a betrayal of his very soul. His resolve hardened, crystallizing into an unyielding determination. Their fragile stealth shattered without warning. A squad of arbiters materialized from the shimmering walls of a grand, circular atrium, their black armor gleaming, energy weapons humming to life. The element of surprise was gone, replaced by immediate, brutal engagement. Anna moved like a blur, a whirlwind of trained combat. She met the first arbiter with a savage kick, sending it careening backward, sparks flying from its chest plate. Elijah and Jay scrambled for cover, diving behind ornate, futuristic pillars as more arbiters advanced, their silent, precise movements chilling. Energy bolts seared through the air, carving scars into the ancient architecture. The air cracked with kinetic force as Anna fought, a ferocious dance against impossible odds, her skills honed by years in the shadows. This wasn't just survival. It was a desperate, visceral fight for every inch, every second against the cold, unyielding will of the registry. With Anna's furious combat buying precious seconds, they broke free, bursting into a vast, dizzying archive of dormant life threads. It was a maze of glowing columns, each one a forgotten destiny, stretching endlessly into the ethereal distance. But their escape was no respite. The arbiters pursued relentlessly, their energy weapons cutting through the shimmering threads with devastating precision. Each severed thread erupted in a silent explosion of light and data, a tragic, beautiful disintegration. The ground vibrated with the impact of their relentless advance. Jay, his eyes darting frantically, suddenly spotted it, a faint shimmer, a hidden shortcut, known only to those who truly understood the registry's arcane pathways. "This way!" he yelled, his voice strained above the crackle of energy fire and the haunting sighs of unraveling destinies. They plunged deeper into the maze, leaving a trail of shattered dreams and digital dust in their wake, hoping to outrun the architects of fate. Just as they believed a path had opened, the very air solidified into an enemy. The Protectorate Protocol roared to life, a cacophony of shimmering light and synthetic thunder. From every corner, ethereal guardians, woven from pure energy and the registry's digital will, coalesced into formidable, silent sentinels. Their movements were fluid, precise, designed to eliminate, not capture. Jay screamed a warning as an energy blade arced inches from his head, forcing him to dive, rolling beneath a cascade of incoming fire. Anna, quick and lethal, met the spectral assault with a flurry of expertly aimed shots, each impact momentarily disrupting a guardian's form, but they reformed, relentless. Elijah, chronometer clutched tight, felt the tremor of each blow resonate through the floor, the relentless hum of the protocol a desperate symphony of impending doom. Mid-skirmish, Valerius's voice, calm and utterly unhurried, cut through the calm's static like a surgical knife. A holographic projection of his austere face materialized briefly on Jay's console, his eyes devoid of anger, filled instead with chilling certainty. He wasn't pleading, he was dictating terms. "Surrender now," his voice echoed, "and I will personally ensure your threads are recalibrated. A clean slate, a better life, free from this rebellion." The implied promise was insidious, a tempting whisper in the chaos. Then, the steel beneath the velvet. "Fail to comply, and I guarantee your complete and agonizing erasure. Every memory, every potential, every echo of your existence. Gone." The air crackled not just with energy blasts, but with the terrifying weight of his words, a stark choice delivered with the casual cruelty of a god. The brutal reality of Valerius's threat, the raw desperation of their situation, tore through Anna's carefully constructed defenses. Gasping for breath as she took down another guardian, she shouted over the din, "It's more than just being rogue. My family, our entire lineage, was systematically diminished by the registry." Her voice cracked with a lifetime of suppressed pain and fury. "They targeted us, generations of us, reducing our life threads to nothing, all to prevent something." She slammed a fist against a console, revealing a hidden data schematic on its screen. "But they left a gap, a critical vulnerability in the master node. A blind spot where they never expected anyone like us to reach." The revelation hit Elijah like a physical blow, transforming their desperate escape into a fight for a legacy, for a retribution Anna had silently carried for years. They burst into the central chamber, and the world shifted. Before them, suspended in the cavernous space, was the Master Chronos node, a colossal, pulsating sphere of pure, incandescent energy. It hummed with a resonance that vibrated through Elijah's bones, a sound both ancient and alive. From its radiant core, countless gossamer threads of light extended outwards, converging and diverging, each one a life, a destiny. The node pulsed with an otherworldly kaleidoscope of colors, bathing the chamber in a breathtaking, overwhelming glow. And there, amidst the myriad, Elijah's own thread, once a muted whisper, now blazed with a fierce, defiant brilliance, drawn inexorably towards the heart of this cosmic loom. This was it, the source, the nexus of all existence. As Jay, fueled by Anna's desperate intel, slammed his hands onto a console, initiating the deletion sequence, the chamber erupted. Arbiters, a black tide of silent fury, swarmed the node, their weapons trained. Jay, knowing their time was measured in heartbeats, roared, "Go! I'll buy you time." His fingers flew across the keyboard, a furious ballet of defiance, as he threw up a powerful, blinding firewall, diverting their attention, their fury. Energy bolts rained down around him, tearing into the console, into the very structure of the platform. He didn't flinch. His face, illuminated by the exploding terminal, by the green glow of his last, heroic act, was etched with a grim, determined smile. The concussive blast threw Elijah and Anna forward, the sacrifice a searing pain, a moment frozen in the cacophony of shattering glass and sparking circuits. The echoes of Jay's sacrifice fueled Elijah's rage, transforming his fear into something raw, primal. Around the colossal node, bathed in its kaleidoscopic light, they faced the remaining arbiters in a desperate, brutal dance of survival. Anna, a whirlwind of calculated ferocity, moved with the precision of a practiced assassin, her movements strategic, her strikes efficient. But Elijah, grief a burning inferno in his gut, fought not with skill, but with pure, untamed instinct. Every punch, every block, every desperate shove carried the weight of Jay's loss, the injustice of his own manipulated life. He wasn't just fighting. He was unleashing a lifetime of suppressed fury, a man breaking free, discovering an untapped strength forged in the crucible of despair. This wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a defiant scream against the forces that sought to control them. Just as victory seemed a desperate whisper away, Valerius's voice, now imbued with a chilling finality, echoed throughout the chamber. His holographic form reappeared, a cruel smile playing on his lips. "You truly believed you could unravel millennia of order?" he scoffed, his eyes gleaming with cold triumph. "Pathetic, but commendable for your stubbornness." With a flick of his wrist, a hidden failsafe engaged. The master node, already pulsating with immense power, began to overload, its vibrant colors bleeding into an angry, unstable crimson. A terrifying tremor ran through reality itself. "If I cannot control it," Valerius declared, "then no one will. This node will not just erase your pathetic thread, Elijah. It will destabilize existence, tear temporal ripples across all life. Everyone you knew, everything everyone knew, gone." The chamber groaned, reality twisting at the edges. As the node shrieked towards oblivion, reality tearing at its seams, Elijah's chronometer, now glowing with an almost blinding intensity, erupted with the full, devastating truth. A blinding cascade of data streamed directly into his mind, not just fragments, but the complete, horrifying narrative. His manipulated life, the mediocre, unassuming existence he had railed against, was not a curse. It was a stabilizer thread. His insignificance, his perceived failures, had been a cosmic anchor, preventing a far greater catastrophe. A nexus anomaly. A temporal black hole that would have erased not just him, not just Anna, but everyone he knew, every loved one, every memory, every trace of human existence. The truth shattered his world, leaving him with an agonizing understanding. His suffering had saved them all. The humming device pulsed in Elijah's trembling hands, a monstrous mirror reflecting not just his own fractured reality, but the countless threads intertwined with his. He saw them, the faces of those he'd unknowingly touched, the lives he'd marginally influenced, the very fabric of existence held together by the thin, luminous strands of his own forgotten actions. Deleting his thread, securing his refund, would rip a hole through that tapestry, unraveling every connection, every echo, every future born from his past. The arbiters closed in, their silent boots echoing the inexorable march of a decision he never asked to make. Was his escape, his personal freedom from this engineered torment, worth the eradication of everyone else? The very concept clawed at his sanity. He clutched the chronometer, its glow a searing indictment. The city outside, muffled by the relentless downpour, felt impossibly distant, yet horrifyingly close to becoming a silent, unwritten memory. This wasn't just his life anymore. It was the world's. A gasp tore through the metallic din, a sound of fragile life fading. Anna, gravely wounded, blood blossoming on her stark white uniform like a cruel, crimson flower. She struggled against the cold embrace of the floor. Her eyes, filled with an urgent, fading light, locked onto Elijah's. Every movement was a battle against oblivion, but she fought. Her hand, trembling, reached for him, a last, desperate lifeline in the encroaching darkness. Not deletion, she choked out, her voice raspy. Recalibrate. In her palm, a small, obsidian device, intricately etched with glowing symbols, pulsed faintly. A thread splitter. It wasn't about erasing himself, undoing the timeline. It was about forging a new one. A ghost in the machine, free from the registry's iron grip. A path for him without sacrificing everyone else. Her strength faltered, her hand falling, the device a silent testament to a dying hope. The weight of Anna's final sacrifice, the echoing recalibrate in his mind, propelled Elijah forward. There was no going back, no personal refund, only this precarious, uncharted path. He gripped the thread splitter, its obsidian surface warm against his skin, a new kind of power pulsing within it. With a heavy heart and a resolute clench of his jaw, he activated it. A surge of energy, silent yet profound, coursed through him. The chronometer, still active, pulsed violently, its internal mechanisms momentarily visible as ethereal light. Then, a miracle. His life thread, shimmering brightly, didn't vanish. Instead, it subtly shifted, a vibrant emerald hue branching off from its original azure, spiraling into a new, autonomous trajectory. The distant, ominous hum of the master node, which had threatened to unravel the universe, stabilized, a vast, unseen engine finding equilibrium. Elijah had chosen to live not as a deleted memory, but as a new whisper in the grand design, on his own fiercely independent terms. The roar of the wind whipped around us, a fitting soundtrack to the final act. Below, the city lights blurred into a distant, uncaring canvas. Above, the storm clouds gathered, mirroring the tempest within. He stood there, the faceless ghost who haunted my waking nightmares, now unmasked, his eyes devoid of remorse, shining with a chilling clarity. The answers I chased through blood-soaked alleys and whispered secrets finally spilled, not as revelations, but as fresh wounds. He wasn't just a killer, he was a symptom, a twisted mirror reflecting a darkness far greater, a conspiracy woven into the fabric of power itself. My vengeance, once a burning beacon, now felt like a single candle against an approaching tsunami. The fight was primal, desperate. Every blow struck wasn't just for survival, but for the ghost of the man they took, for the shattered peace, for the justice the world seemed unwilling to provide. When it was over, when the last gasp escaped his lips, there was no euphoria, only an aching void, the emptiness of a goal achieved, only to find the core wound still festering. The world hadn't reset. The pain remained. But something else lingered too, the knowledge that I had pushed back. I had fought, and in that desolate victory, a new purpose flickered, not just to avenge but to protect, to be the shield in a world that so easily devours the innocent. The city breathed beneath me, ignorant of the silent war waged on its rooftops. The storm broke, washing away the blood, but not the memory. and I, the survivor, the warrior, was ready for whatever came next.